So I get off the phone with my grandma. She's supposed to come pick me up, and as I'm hanging up the phone, I hear whoop whoop, and four cop cars pull up behind me. And I'm like, oh shit! I still got the phone in my hand. I'm turning around, and they jump out of the car and they're pointing their guns at me.
Hello, everyone. Welcome again to another episode of This Story of You. We have a special guest with us today, Mathew Mulholland. And Mathew comes to us as the Dean of the National Claims Institute. He'll tell us more about it, but that is an institute designed to educate insurance professionals in claims handling, and specifically homeowners and property insurance claims. He has a lot of interesting facts about himself, which I look forward to hearing. And with that, Mathew, thank you for being here. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right, just jump right into it.
Well, just jump right into kind of a little about what you do currently through the National Claims Institute.
Okay. So National Claims Institute is a newer school. So it being business for just over a year now, there's a lot of day-to-day activities that go into it being basically a startup. So my role as the dean is mostly to facilitate the courses being produced, getting as many instructors in here and experts in whatever it is that they're teaching, and coordinating marketing efforts and things to make sure that people understand that we exist. This week, I'm teaching two different courses. Luckily, one of them I'm not teaching by myself because it would be really hard to teach two classes at the same time. But that's definitely going on. And I just got a notification that I'm supposed to be on your podcast right now. So that's the National Claims Institute. We are working hard to produce as much as possible. We have one hell of a ambitious plan for the school. We teach contractors, public adjusters, insurance adjusters, engineers, attorneys, anybody that's handling any portion of an insurance claim for homeowners policies or business property type claims. We've got courses either already out or being built for you if you're one of those people. So
excellent. So being that you are so knowledgeable in the insurance field, how did you gain all of that knowledge?
Luckily osmosis actually works. So I started out in the industry as a contractor. I was a roofer. I was knocking on doors and started my own roofing company within a handful of months after joining another company, and realizing they really weren't helping or benefiting anybody because there's no training involved like most roofing companies out there. Started my own roofing company, realized at some point that I was doing pretty well with the insurance adjusters compared to other roofers, and became a PA and started my own PA firm, walked away from the roofing company.
What's a PA? For people who don't know.
Public adjuster. So public adjuster, in case you don't know what that is, well, most people know what an insurance adjuster is. We'll start there. You got insurance adjusters, you got public adjusters. Insurance adjusters work for the insurance company, adjust losses for the insurance company. In most cases are required by law to look out for the best interest of the insurance company and not necessarily the policyholder. The public adjuster can't work for the insurance company. They only get hired by policyholders to represent their best interests, and basically present the claim on their behalf and make sure that everything is fair and justified. So as a public adjuster, starting a public adjusting firm in Georgia, which is a really rough state to do that kind of work in, the laws are not in consumers' favor in Georgia. We became the largest PA firm. We were handling about 3,000 claims a year. We had a team of 26 or 27 individuals, and we were doing volume residential homeowners claims for mostly hail and wind losses, but some water, tree, and fire. We eventually moved into doing commercial claims, large commercial claims exclusively, just because the money was there. But before I left that role to start the school, we gained a lot of data. I'm a nerd. I learned a lot about insurance because I spend my time reading up on stuff. I have mile-long spreadsheets on all the information that I've been able to gather from every claim possible. Sometimes I'll think, oh, I should be tracking that. And I'll literally go back through every claim prior to that point and add that data in so that I have enough data points to be able to come to some kind of determination on how things are happening. So having all of that overview of so many claims allows you to really understand how things are working, how things interact with each other so that you can develop some better processes and stuff along those lines. So that's how I learned what I'm doing.
Nice. So as a nerd, were you the A+ student in school?
Yeah, I guess I
Yeah.
was. Yeah, and not so much in college. College, I screwed off a little bit. You know, I married my high school sweetheart, so my senior year of high school was also a little bit rough. I still aced everything, and even in college, I didn't go to my classes very often. I didn't do any of my homework, and I passed simply because I go in and take the final exam after teaching myself the class for a day or two and acing the exam. I ended up with B's and C's because I didn't do the homework, and that still had some weight to it. But it wasn't great in college as a result.
What'd you major in college?
Aerospace engineering.
Holy cow. Well, that would be a tough major to ace for sure.
I mean, yeah, I slept through the classes though. You know, I was doing too many extracurricular activities. I was trying to become a pilot with the Air Force. I didn't actually want to be an aerospace engineer. I like aircraft. I used to build everything into airplanes as a kid. I mean, everything became an airplane. I used to be able to take coat hangers from a laundromat that had the little paper in between.
Mm-hmm.
I still do this to this day. Every time I get one of those, I get so excited because I can bend it in such a way that I can throw it across the room. That would just float down. But I used to turn everything into some kind of an aircraft, give it wings, figure out where center of gravity is, and just a little toss and see if it works out. But I got away from that a lot. Aerospace engineering made sense. I had to have a technical degree for the Air Force scholarship that I had, but I didn't get the pilot slot because of my vision. And they were accepting volunteers to get out without having to pay back college time around the time that I was supposed to graduate and go in. So I volunteered to get out because I didn't actually want to be an aerospace engineer because it sucks. I don't know if you know this.
I don't know anything.
And after having told you my earlier story, this doesn't make any sense at all now. But as an engineer, you don't really design an aircraft. You design a very small component using mile-long spreadsheets where you manipulate data. So I ended up doing it anyway, apparently. I didn't even realize it until I said it out loud with you here. So your show is very impactful.
You were destined to make spreadsheets one way or the other.
Apparently.
So why were you so interested in aircraft at such a young age?
Because they flew. I mean, it's cool.
That was it? No family members who were pilots, no transformative airplane experiences, just
I wanted to be an astronaut, so I got into the whole flying thing because I wanted the best course to become an astronaut is through being a pilot with the Air Force. It's the easiest path anyway. You can go through it in so many different ways now, but back then that was widely accepted as your method of getting into that field. So I wanted to be that. I had great scores. As far as I know, and I'm not positive, but as far as I know, I had the top scores in my class for ASVAB and all that kind of stuff. I was a shoo-in. I had to get 2 different waivers, and getting waivers for vision requirements was a difficult process. I could get 1, I couldn't get 2. Yeah. So once I found that out, I was destined to become an aerospace engineer because that's what I was going to school for, and that's what the Air Force is going to take me in for. And I suppose it would have been cool in retrospect. I probably would have ended up at Skunk Works or something and designing UFOs or some shit. It would have been really interesting. Instead, I decided I was going to get out and start some businesses. So serial entrepreneur.
Yeah. So what's an interesting childhood story you have?
All right. I haven't told this story in a long time. I might even get some of it wrong and have to backtrack a little bit. Do you remember phone booths?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just dated you. I didn't date you like take
They
you out
still
on a
have
date.
one at Epcot, by the way.
Do they? Like a real one? Is it working?
No, but it's a booth.
It's a booth. It's not a phone booth anymore then.
Okay. Well,
So there was this
that's debatable, but okay.
in high school, I needed to get a ride home after some activity I was doing. I don't remember what it was. And I was supposed to call my grandma. We were living with my grandmother at the time. We moved a lot as kids. Supposed to call my grandma, and there was a payphone. And you had these cards with all these digits, and you dial it all in. You end up having nightmares that you dial it wrong and have to start all over. At least I did. That was one of my recurring nightmares, was definitely on dialing the phone card crap wrong on a payphone.
And then losing your
God.
recorder.
It's so many numbers. You remember those things? Jesus. It was
Yeah.
annoying. Anyway, so I ended in there. I get on the phone and I start calling my grandma. And I've got this long jacket on, and I used to carry an Alice pack, which is an old military rucksack that they carried in World War II. It's called an Alice pack.
Okay.
I had that on my shoulders.
How old are you at this point?
16.
Okay.
16, 15, maybe. Not terribly old. It was 15 for sure, because it was still North Carolina, hadn't moved to Georgia yet. So yeah, 15.
Okay.
So I get off the phone with my grandma. She's supposed to come pick me up, and as I'm hanging up the phone, I hear whoop whoop, and 4 cop cars pull up behind me. And I'm like, oh shit! I still got the phone in my hand. I'm turning around, and they jump out of the car and they're pointing their guns at me.
What?
Oh,
What
right.
did you do?
What the fuck's going on? So I'm standing there and I'm staring at them, and I really slowly hang up the phone. I got my hands up, and they start yelling at me to take off the backpack. Right.
Oh.
So it's like, okay. And I go real slow. You got to go slow because, you've seen movies.
Yeah.
So drop the backpack off of me, just let it kind of topple to the ground. They start rifling through it, and they're pulling out, I enjoy drawing and artistic type stuff. So they're pulling out these pictures that I drew of like Calvin and Hobbes or something crazy or something stupid like that. They're pulling this out. They're actually showing it off. They're this is really good. They're handing out my stuff to everybody. I'm having a great time with them at this point. We're just chatting about bullshit, really. And then it turns out they thought someone called in to the station, thought I was like a terrorist or something, because I had this Alice pack on. I had a long coat. It was like a trench coat. And I had a hat on that was all black, and they thought that I was walking around suspiciously or something. This is a retirement community that I was living in Hendersonville, North Carolina, and they did all this. It's crazy. So they thought that I was some kind of a terrorist. So they're pulling all this shit out of my backpack, and the phone behind me rings. This is so crazy. I was like, can I answer that? They're like, yeah, whatever. Because by that time they knew I had guns on me. I think they frisked me at some point. I don't remember. So I pick up the phone, and they're like, hello, is anyone in your household over the age of 50? Hey, any of you guys over 50? And one of them was. I was like, oh, here you go. And he took up the phone and they started doing, and he started screwing with the guy too. So this cop who just pulled me over for being some kind of a weird terrorist, enjoying my artwork, is now screwing with this phone sales guy on something to do with fire alarms or something along those lines. It was a crazy day. And at the end of it, one of the cops gave me a ride home, so my grandmother didn't have to give it to me. So I got to ride on the back of the cop car. It was a great time. I got to flip the switch for the lights. He only let me do that once. I tried to do it many times. He stopped me many times. But the next day I went back out. I was going to use that same phone booth again, and it was gone. The next day it was gone. And it was the last time that there was a phone booth in Hendersonville, North Carolina.
Huh. Wow.
Crazy.
So you were probably the last person to use that phone booth, made history.
Right. Either that, or I'm the reason it's gone. One of them.
That's a great story. Wow. So did you still keep carrying your Alice pack and wearing your trench coat?
I thought I looked cool in it, so I had to wear it. It wasn't really a trench coat. It just happened to be a long coat. Okay. There was a big difference. I definitely needed to point that out specifically. This is not a trench coat. I'm not going to flash anyone. This is a
It was
Alice
a cool
pack.
coat.
Just have my book back. You've taken out all my schoolwork. I did get my artwork back, so that's good news.
That's good. Well, that's a great story. So your love for art sounds like you were talented at it at a young age. Does that still find its way into your life as an adult?
Yeah, from time to time. It's definitely not something I focus on. I have a lot of artists in my family, a lot of really talented people. So it was never really played up as anything that's special for me. Though probably compared to most, I'm fairly talented. I just never felt that way to me because of the people that I was surrounded by. But I built a lot of stuff. I've got a lot of tools. I designed a CNC machine, a custom CNC machine. Had to learn how to program a Raspberry Pi to develop this thing. And I built a lot of structures. So going convention to convention in this industry, you have to have a booth. So for my YouTube channel, Listen to This Bowl, we built out a booth with this giant bowl on it, which I designed in a CAD program. The CNC cut it out in different layers. So it's a multi-layered plywood bowl that I then painted with watercolor, and it came out. And it was cathartic painting that thing. But it was the first time I painted in like 15, 20 years. I honestly, I thought I was going to be miserable at it because you think that stuff just, you forget. It's not a bicycle. I'm painting. Came out great. I still get compliments to this day on that thing. And it was awesome. You know, I started off, I designed a bowl and showed off photos of it online, trying to have a contest where people had named the bowl. And instead of them naming the bowl, they just made fun of me for cutting out a cow. I didn't know this at the time. Cows sometimes have horns. Did you know that?
Yeah. Oh, do they?
Well,
Some
apparently.
cows have horns. I guess I haven't thought about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the Texas public adjusters and contractors definitely wanted to point that out to me and tell me how stupid I was being. And they were right. I still have that cow somewhere. It's definitely, it not only is it a cow, it's probably a pregnant cow. That's how big and fat this thing was.
So you can't use your booth anymore because it's a cow?
So I made a new one, and I overcompensated how manly this thing is. So it's got a pair of balls like this big. Yeah, I definitely tripled up on the size of the ball. I don't want there to be any confusion whatsoever on whether this is a cow or a bull. Definitely a bull.
Okay. So got that fixed.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you have a YouTube channel. Tell us about that.
So while I was a PA at Mulholland Adjustments, we started a YouTube channel called Listen to This Bowl, which is why I made a bowl from a booth. There's a theme. I don't wear chaps though. I just want to say. So Listen to This Bowl talks about bullshit in the insurance world. And it started off by saying all the worst bullshit that insurance adjusters used to say to us as public adjusters that was absolute garbage or out of ignorance or something along those lines. And not only why it was wrong, how it didn't actually apply, but also how to overcome it if you were to receive that. So it was designed originally for policyholders and then became an educational piece for other public adjusters and contractors to use. And so the channel exists right now. There's a ton of videos on it, little short 10, 15-minute fun videos. They're definitely not boring. Some of them are a little bit over the top in how corny they are, but try to make it a little bit fun in how we educate people on certain small aspects of it. And then we have our own live stream podcast every Tuesday nights at 6 p.m. where we talk about something. You know, I've actually invited you to be on there. I got to get you on the schedule at some point if I haven't already.
Not yet.
We don't do much prep work on it. We'll have a guest come up and we'll have the guest pick a topic, something that, you know, the audience might enjoy. I'll know what the topic is. You'll know what the topic is. And that's all that we'll know about each other. And we'll go on there. We'll have a few beers. By the third beer, everybody's nice and loose. You might be saying some stuff you wouldn't normally say on camera. Who knows? We got Steve Badger on not tomorrow, which is Tuesday. I don't know when you're going to air this thing, but the following week, Steve Badger, a famous defense attorney, and we're going to talk about appraisal. I'm going to pin him down on what is meant by the word scope. If any of you know anything about how appraisal litigation is going these days, that's a big deal. Should be fun.
Sounds fun.
So,
I'm looking
what kind of
forward
an
to
attorney
it.
are you? Are you property?
Yeah, I'm property, and I do a couple other things as well. But right now, that's my biggest practice area. Okay, so you have started the largest PA firm in Georgia. You now have a National Claims Institute training insurance professionals of all sorts in claims handling. You have a YouTube channel and a podcast. Anything else that I'm missing that you're doing currently in your profession?
I'm an advisory board member of the APA, the American Policyholder Association. I am, on the board of GAPIA, the Georgia Association of Public Insurance Adjusters, and a member of a lot of other associations. But those two, I'm part of the leadership.
Nice.
Pretty active in the, politics of Georgia, even though I don't live there anymore. I just moved to Florida for the school where our campus is. But I come from Georgia, and we're really trying to make that place better for policyholders. There really is no law there that's beneficial to policyholders for property at all. I would argue and even have a drag out fight with anyone that says that Georgia isn't the hardest state to work in.
The hardest.
I'll take that. I'll take that fight on for sure. It's one of the rougher states to deal with. The laws are the absolute worst, and the case law is even worse. Yeah, there's nothing that benefits policyholders there.
So why'd you choose Georgia? Is that just where you lived?
I was living there at the time. That's where I became a PA. So All Good Adjustments was the largest PA firm in Georgia, which, it sounds impressive, but there's not that many PAs in Georgia. So it's like big fish in a small pond kind of a thing. But Georgia needs a lot of help, and the claims there are especially tough. If you have a claim there as a policyholder, it's less than $20,000. It's likely going to get denied. It's definitely going to be underpaid. And if you take it to any kind of legal action, you're not going to have enough when it's all said and done to make repairs, no matter what. And carriers seem to know it. So a lot of times those are the people that get the worst treatment, because there's no recourse. No one is slapping the hand of someone that's acting inappropriately in Georgia. No one.
Right. So, where do you see yourself? Where do you see this all taking you and your company over the next several years? If you could have it all your way, what would the future look like for you and your various endeavors?
Well, the National Claims Institute is a big deal for me. I wanted to have some kind of an educational portal available at some point in my career. When the opportunity for National Claims Institute to become a part of this with my business partners to start this up, definitely jumped on it. But it's a very ambitious thing. 392 different planned courses is a lot. Trying to get both carrier and policyholder side under the same roof to teach the same stuff is an endeavor. And we might even have to trick them into it at first. We might be teaching insurance adjusters in a separate class, a class that says, policy interpretation for insurance adjusters. And in the next classroom, policy interpretation for public insurance adjusters. In reality, it's the exact same class. They just have no idea. And one day we'll maybe mix them and see what happens. It'll be fun. But 6-10 years from now, I want to see that this is actually working. We need more education in this field for both sides. There's very little quality education in this industry for anyone that's getting into this. Until you start getting into upper management from the carrier side, you really don't get enough information to see how actually things work. You get the smallest amount possible to do your job. And sometimes you're given a small amount on purpose just to make it easy to have either plausible deniability or possibly to purposely misinterpret something. Or at least it appears that way. So I'm trying to dispel a lot of that information. If we can teach everybody the same information, we can have a basis that we can start from, remove some of the animosity between the two sides so there isn't so much of a fight. We can all get along, have some fun together. Hopefully actually take care of people because they're counting on us to do so.
And how many courses are you aiming to have available for people?
We've got 392 different courses planned. I would imagine somewhere along the line, some of those will merge with others and we'll probably add more to the list. Right now it's 392. We've got 13 of those out. There's a giant Venn diagram somewhere around here that we drew out in this giant construction paper roll with, contractors in a big circle, public adjusters, insurance adjusters, and all the overlap and what kind of classes they would want to be a part of that has some overlap. And it was a lot of fun to make that chart. It took a while to really plan it all out, but out of that came a list of courses and exactly how it is that we want to go about doing things. I'm sure we'll make edits to that as we go, but 392 different courses planned. A lot of that will be online. We're building right now our online portal. We're trying to have at least 20 different courses available strictly online to have a subscription model, in the next year or so. We'd like to start opening that up by next year if we can. But until we have enough of those classes, we're not going to open that up. Most of our courses are in person at the moment. We've got certification courses that are always going to be in person just because they're hands-on. You can't do that online. You need to be able to touch, feel, smell the hail damage sometimes. So, by the way,
what does hail damage smell like?
There is a smell.
Is there
if
really?
You can get out there within the first hour of it hailing on a roof, for asphalt shingle anyway, I don't know about the other materials, but asphalt shingle, it smells an awful lot like right after it rains, the smell of an asphalt road. You know what it smells like. Yeah. That's what hail damage smells like.
Interesting.
You have to get out there really quick.
Yeah. Sorry, I think I interrupted you. Were you going to say something else?
No.
Okay.
That was it. I think I farted and that picked up on the mic. That's what
I didn't catch that. Thanks
you didn't
for
catch that?
telling me.
Good for you.
So if someone is interested in taking one of your courses, where do they find what's available?
This is our website, nationalclaims.institute. .institute is a thing. It's not nationalclaimsinstitute.com, although that will redirect you into there. Nationalclaims.institute. You can see all of our courses. You can see a course calendar for all the stuff that's going on. We got a class running at least one every week. We got a different class running. You can check it out on the calendar. You can enroll in any of those courses right there on that website. Once you're into our student portal, you'll be able to log into any classes that you've registered for previously. Even if you've completed some classes, you still have access to a lot of the course materials and resources for life. We update that stuff from time to time. There's a lot of benefit there. But we definitely are trying very, very hard to have the highest quality education you can get out of any classes that are there. I've got a 5-day composition shingle roof inspection certification course going on right now. We spent the first day doing nothing but talking about how roofs are constructed and the codes, how they interact, and how that interacts with policy language. And we didn't finish today. We didn't even get to every material that's on a roof. There's that much information. You don't realize how much information is there, but we try to not be surface level as you might get at certain conventions or things. You go listen to somebody for an hour, you might pick up a nugget or two, but you're not really getting all the information. Going specifically to a class on something will help you out more than going to different conventions and things. Highly recommend if you're going to spend your money on educational materials, instead of going to a expo, which are a hell of a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong. Go there for the networking though, not necessarily for the education you're going to get. Go to a class if you want education. There's plenty that's out there. Well, no, there's not. I take that back. There is now some stuff that's out there that's really beneficial for you. There's some good ones out there that are outside of us as well, but there's not much.
So you mentioned that you have a background in Georgia. You're now in Florida, but your courses are Are those useful to insurance professionals just in those states or outside of those states? What's the geographic coverage area for your training?
So we've got some classes that are fairly geographic in nature. We've got a Florida Public Adjuster Master Class that's taught by Frank Dalton, the principal owner of Coastal Claims. So that one's specific to Florida. Outside of that, all the rest of our public adjuster classes are not state specific. We do have a class on hurricane training, Cat 5 hurricane training that we're running later this week. And that is specific to coastal states. Outside of that, it doesn't really apply because you're not really going to get a lot of hurricanes inland, unless you're talking about derechos. I can never say it. I got nothing. I have no idea how to say it. I get this wrong every time. I always used to call them derechos. But it's Derico? You going to help me out, or are you just going to sit there?
I don't know what you're talking about, so I can't help you.
Okay.
Sorry.
Iowa got a lot of them, whatever it's called.
Okay.
Inland, main, like landlocked hurricanes is what this really describes. But this Cat 5 hurricane training it's not really that, although it probably could apply if I really thought about it. Yeah, it probably does, actually.
Okay.
Never mind. It does. It totally. Yeah, I didn't think about it that way. Anyway, so no, most of the stuff is not state specific. Our public adjuster training, we got a public adjuster 101 that talks about the public adjuster process. For a brand new PA, get a public adjuster license. You have no idea how to be a public adjuster. That license just teaches you terminology and things that you need to brain dump. There's no reason for you to remember how auto policies work as a public adjuster for most states, unless you're dealing with auto claims, but very few, if any, PAs do. Mm-hmm. So you need to learn how to actually act as a PA, how to strategize a claim, how to actually present a claim to a carrier properly, all those kind of things. So that's what PA 101 does. And it is not state specific. There are public adjuster classes that are presented today that are state specific, or at least they appear to be state specific, even though they claim not to be. They're only presenting laws from one state. Ours is very broad on those horizons. And then we give you access to an individual from that state in order to help you with your individual state after the class. Here's the specifics for this state that you need to know to add into the broad view that you just got. We call them ambassadors.
Nice. So my takeaway is, if you want to have the nerd-like knowledge that Mathew Mulholland has, then this is the place to go. Because as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking, I'm not, my nature is not that scientific. And so, but I see the value in what you bring. And so I'm thinking I probably need to be a little more nerd-like in that realm to take my practice to the next level, because the more you know, the better you are.
The more you know. There's a meme about that.
Is there? Is that was that a show, like a kid's show when we were kids?
Is that part of Reading Rainbow?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
Reading Rainbow.
I think it was. Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, Lamar Burton. Yeah, he was Geordi on Star Trek.
See, that's a nerd fact.
That was very nerdy.
That I would not.
That's as nerdy as it gets. A Star Trek joke. It can't get worse. Yeah.
So, where's your Southern accent, being that you were raised in the South?
Well, so I was raised all up and down the East Coast, really, but my parents were from New York and Illinois, so they didn't really have an accent themselves. They never said y'all or anything like that. So I never really picked that kind of language up, even though I actually grew up mostly in North Carolina. I really should sound like a redneck, and I don't. And maybe it was a concerted effort not to as a kid. But yeah, I don't have much of an accent. You more of a chameleon as far as that goes. I don't think people would really pick it up. I would challenge somebody to know where I came from if they first met me.
Yeah, and I couldn't figure it out.
I mean, that's how I get free beer all the time.
If they can guess it, then
yeah.
If
Right.
they can't guess it, then they pay. Good.
They
Good
know.
idea. How? So your first name is spelled with just one T.
Just one. I think the other T is frivolous. It's a waste of time. If you are adding an extra T to your name, imagine how much time you were spending of your life writing out that other T.
Do you have a
How much
spreadsheet on that?
time? Yeah, just imagine how much time your friends and family have had to pronunciate that second T as they're calling out your name. What a waste. Mathew is terrible. Just Matthew. You don't need to. It's crazy.
What about the two
No.
L's though in your last name?
Oh, no one uses my last name, so it's fine.
Okay. Okay. So
I like to tell people I'm a doormat. Welcome, Matt. People walk all over me.
well, this has certainly been entertaining. You have been a delight. I don't know if I've laughed this much on a show yet. So thank you for that. Any final thoughts you'd like to share with our viewers before we close this out?
If you handle claims and you feel like you need some help, reach out to us. There's a lot of free content on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/listen to this bull. You can get a lot on there. But if you really want to sit down and have some formal training on a lot of this stuff, go to the National Claims.Institute website, check it out, reach out to us. We'll be happy to help you figure out what would be the best course for you to take, because we have so many different ones and everybody's in a different position. Some of these classes are really designed for a very unique situation. So we'd be happy to help you figure out what's best for you, and not just try to sell you on everything that we do. So reach out.
Excellent. Well, thank you again for being here today. And with that, we will sign off till next time.
Cool. Do you have a weird sign off? Or is that it?
No, I need
Was
to
that your
come up with
sign-off?
one, huh? That was
Well,
it.
sign
It was
off
kinda
till next time.
disappointing. It was
If that's the
disappointing.
sign off, I mean, it's a sign off. Have you
Oh,
said
yeah.
that before?
What have I said? No, I've changed it up. So now I need to come up with a sign off, I guess.
I don't have one either. I just
No?
say,
You're judging
yeah,
me and you don't even have
that's
one.
it. I got nothing. But I noticed it on you, right? Because you said sign off.
Okay,
I
how
don't-
do you end yours? How do you end yours?
I literally just go, yeah. So guess that's it.